We are once again talking about the sociology of begging someone to marry you. A lot of people are currently talking about this girl who is going viral for proposing to her boyfriend of 14 years. I also saw another post the day before Thanksgiving of a separate woman proposing to her boyfriend. And I know that the title is provocative. I actually wrote that on Substack a couple of months ago when I did a deep dive on the waiting to wed subreddit. So basically, it's the subreddit where a lot of women who have been in long-term relationships are sort of giving each other advice on how to get to like the state of marriage. In American society, marriage is glamorized, valorized, and exalted. I don't want to hear bean soup people being like, well, I don't care about marriage. I've been with my boyfriend for 55 years and we didn't want to get married. We're not talking about you. For a lot of people, this is causing some weird sort of feminism distress where they are like, I would never propose to a man, or why would a woman ever do this? And for me, when I looked at a lot of different data sources when I wrote that piece on Substack, which you can go read, I basically was like, in sociology, anthropology, and psychology, there's a thing called liminality, which is this sort of in-between space where you are neither one thing nor another, right? I think that a lot of women sort of find themselves in this position where I hate the phrase BM or baby mama or whatever, but like they find themselves in this position where they are like, that woman apparently has 2 kids with him. They've been together for 14 years. I think they live with his parents. Like there's a lot going on there, but like a lot of people find themselves in this position where they're like, we are neither married nor not married, right? Sometimes they own a house together. A lot of the people on Waiting to Wed like own property together and they have cars together and they have all these kids and they're like, how do we get to that next level? Understanding how important marriage is in American society, again, valorized, glamorized, exalted. We live in a culture that's obsessed with weddings. Just understanding that it is not just a matter of like, well, let's go down to the courthouse. This is everything that I wrote about while I was in grad school, right? This is right in my wheelhouse. Again, this is the data. Marriage is glamorized. Marriage is held up in a pedestal in American society, but also the data shows that marriage exists on a class fault line, like going all the way back to like 2012, 2010, right? The old data, but like even current data is saying that like people marry along class lines, right? This is a thing called assortative selection. For the middle class or people who consider themselves to be middle class, cohabitation exists as a step on the way to marriage, right? You live together and then you get married. Whereas for people who are not necessarily middle class or like lower middle class, etc., they see cohabitation as like a financial necessity, right? They have less money, so they move in together after shorter periods of time and they're like locked in. This is again where it gets weird. Please don't get mad at me. This is the data. I don't want to fight with every single bean soup person in the comments, but like again, the act of having children also sort of falls along these class lines. Again, don't get mad at me, where people who are upper middle class or higher middle class will have children after getting married or like much later in their lives, whereas people who are lower middle class or middle class, etc., will have children and then like live together and just sort of stay in that space. Waiting to Wed was actually really interesting to me because a lot of people are really keen on like understanding your rights and privileges, right? It's not just about getting married to like get the ring in this like romantic sense. It is about owning property. It is about like getting something after you guys get divorced, right? It is this very sort of 2025 mindset of you have to get something out of this relationship, right? Something that I've talked about in a lot of videos, but that's good. Not just about this like fairy tale. It's about like, no, if he leaves you, you need to get something out of it. So that's where ultimately when I finished this, I came away with this understanding of like, it's not just begging somebody to marry you because you're like a loser. It's begging somebody to marry you or wanting to elevate your relationship to this other place because you need the financial legal protections. For my Vanderpump heads, we saw a similar situation happen with Vanderpump Rules where Katie Maloney and Tom Schwartz were together for a long, long time, a decade. They finally get married. The first 4 seasons of the show, she was begging him to marry her, right? This is not me being mean. This is the TV. This is what was on the TV. She was like, propose to me, propose to me, propose to me. He didn't have a job, so he couldn't. They finally made enough money. They had this big wedding in season 5. They get divorced in season 10. And she's like, you never liked me. You never respected me. And a lot of people were like, well, he cheated on you. He threw beer on you twice. He cheated on you a lot. He disrespected you every single chance he got. Why would you really, really want to marry this man? A lot of people understand the idea of the sunk cost fallacy, right? Where it's like, well, I already spent 12 years with this fucking loser. I need to get something out of it. This idea that captures a lot of people. It's not just women. A lot of people end up in this like mentality of I poured so much of my time, so much of my resources into this person. He's gonna like go off and have a better relationship with somebody else. No, I want this thing. And unfortunately, in a lot of these cases, you end up in this situation where it's like, well, he was a loser then, you married him and he's still a loser. We're seeing something sort of similar happen on Summer House where I stand alone as like one of the few Amanda haters on all of existence, right? I just find it very odd how she has this like positioning now as like queen girl boss where it's like, well, she was a situationship. Kyle cheated on her a ton and whatever. There are many rumors swirling about what he's doing now. There are many, many rumors. She was like, let's get married, let's get married, let's get married. When somebody actually said, Kyle cheats on you all the time, she literally stopped being Hannah Berner's friend because she was like, I want this more than I want to be friends with you. So she's having a sort of similar arc. We don't know if they're going to get divorced, but like every single season, their marriage is in crisis because he is a 42-year-old DJ and he wants to be a DJ. And she's like, I don't really know what this is. But it's interesting where you find yourself again in the situation of being like, I really want to get married. I really want to get married. And it's like, well, the marriage isn't going to transform the relationship, right? This person is still this person. To end, that's where we come back to this concept of liminality, where it's this idea that you will be transformed. It's not only like the financial and the legal and the moral and the ethical. It's like, I want to feel like a different person. When I step through this door of marriage, I want to feel different, right? The relationship will be different. We will feel different. And a lot of married people will say, it feels so different. It feels so different, which like, sure. But I think what's interesting here is that often in these relationships, there will be one person who's ready to walk through that door and another person who is not. And when you have to drag the person kicking and screaming, that's where the tension exists. Also, just to end, weddings are also very, very expensive, and we are living in a moment of economic crisis. So again, financial considerations are like one of the huge things that prevent people from getting married. And that is the data cited there. And again, another caveat from the data, they are saying that women have much more to lose. So again, going out on the dating market, it might be harder to find another person to have this relationship with when you were already with another person for like 12, 13, 14 years. You have kids. It's like your life is sort of tied to them in this very real way. So it's harder to like get out there and just like find someone else. All of that to say, I think we should treat these situations with a little bit of empathy. Like, I get it. You don't do this kind of research and come away with it being like, these people are losers. Like, there are so many considerations that go into this that I'm like, yeah,